Hello again. I'm at Rosario Beach near Anacortes, Washington. Out for a little hike. It's a beautiful area. Beautiful hot day, but nice and cool with a breeze here by the water. I hiked around the area, lots of potential paintings. Beautiful rocks in the ocean, beautiful cliffs, lovely trees. It's a popular spot on a hot Sunday. I can see why, it's gorgeous. If you watch my videos, you know I like to paint the background first, leaving space for objects in the foreground. In this painting, I try the opposite in a very complex subject, and it proves to be quite a challenge. Always something new to try, and it's often the painful exercises that bring the most growth. I've kind of settled on this madrone, or madrona, I'm not sure how they say it, but it's a beautiful red bark. It's also half gray, so I'm not sure if it looks like half the tree is dead. So it's got white bark or gray bark, half of it, and the other half is a vibrant red. So I just thought that would be an interesting thing to paint in front of the little bay down there. So I'm going to get set up and do a quick oil painting. Quick rundown on my palette. I've got pretty much all my colors out. I'm going to be painting a few days up here around Anacortes, so I just put out all my colors. I may not use them all here today, but I'll have them for my next session. Ivory black, cold gray, titanium white. I'm just going to use Gamsol today. I'm not going to use the artist turpentine. It's kind of a still, hot day. If I use the Gamsol, it dries very quickly, and it also can make me kind of dizzy. Got Neo McGilpin here, a little bit of medium from Gamblin, cerulean blue, phthalo blue, ultramarine blue, sap green, burnt umber, burnt sienna, alizarin crimson, cad red, cad yellow, Windsor lemon, Gamblin radiant lemon, and yellow ochre. I've got a 9x12 inch oil primed linen panel. This is a Centurion, which is pretty decent quality, pretty affordable. I'll start with a small bristle brush and some burnt sienna and just sketch the scene. I'm not going to stay too close to what I'm seeing here in reality. I want most of the tree to be in front of, or I want the majority of the background behind the tree to be that beautiful ocean water. I don't want to include much of the hill or the beach back there. I'm going to place that pretty high. In reality, it falls close to the middle of the panel if I want to capture the whole height of the tree. But I'm just going to exaggerate the angle I'm looking down on the tree, make the bay a bit bigger. I want to keep the background behind the tree really cool and gray and soft, no hard edges, to try to push it back behind the tree, and I'll make the colors of the tree more vibrant. As I sketch the tree, I'm trying to capture not only the gesture, but also the white bark and the red bark. The gesture is the big sweeping shape, how the two red trunks are more vertical and the gray trunks and branches are more leaned over. After I sketch the scene, I'll do a quick turpentine wash. I'll try not to wash away my drawing with that turpentine wash. I'll just reinforce it a bit once I'm done with the wash. Reinforce it with some burnt umber, burnt sienna, some other darks, transparent darks to reinforce the drawing. Then I'll mix up the colors. I'm going to try to just mix up a few colors, minimize the number of piles. I'll mix up vibrant colors for the tree trunk, a very vibrant red, a cooler red, and that'll be the red bark in the sun and the red bark in the shadow. And then the same thing for the grays, an almost white blue-gray. There's a tannish sunlit gray, and then there's a darker gray in the shadow. That's 5 colors so far. I'll need a foliage on the tree in the foreground, in the light, and in the dark, so that's 7. Then I'll need the sky reflected on the water, the color of the water, which is a nice gray sap green, and then some reflected light from the background, which is an orange green. So that's 8 or 9 colors max. If I need to create more color from there, I can just mix it on the fly, or take some of the colors I already have and bend it a little bit with some of the colors from my palette. I'll try to just leave as much of the turpentine wash visible as well to capture the color I'm after. So I'll spend a little bit extra time on, actually it's a Gamsol wash today. I'll try to spend a little bit of extra time on that today, get the drawing right, get that looking nice. There's the Gamsol wash in. The Gamsol stayed a little wet for me to advance the drawing very far, so I'm going to go ahead and proceed with applying the full colors, and I'll adjust the drawing a bit as I go. I'm not quite sure how best to proceed. I could either start on the tree, paint the tree as detailed and fully as possible, showing the light and shadow pattern, or I could paint the background first and then paint the tree into that. I'm afraid if I try to paint the tree first that the background is going to look disjointed and inconsistent. But then I'm afraid if I don't paint the tree now, I'm going to lose more of the light pattern. The sun's going behind some clouds behind me, and I might lose the nice light and shadow pattern. So I think what I'll do is go ahead and paint the tree, which is what drew me to this scene. Beautiful old tree. Paint that as best I can. I'll correct the drawing as I paint the tree, and then I'll paint the background around it and just see if it works. So I'm not sure this approach is going to work. It may turn out to be a mess. We'll see. It's part of the fun of plein air, is to try new things and experiment, find out what works for you. If you're afraid, that's a good sign that you're heading down the right path, that you're pushing your limits, you're trying things that are just a little bit beyond your ability, and that's really where the growth takes place. Alright, so these are the colors I mixed up for the tree. I've got the dead wood in shadow, dead wood in mostly light. Where it's really bright, I'll just use some of this sky cloud color I mixed up. I mixed up a blue sky as well. And then I've got the red bark in the shadow and the red bark in the sun. And you can see I didn't mix it real well. I wanted to keep that striation. This is mixed with ultramarine blue, alizarin crimson, burnt umber, a little bit of cerulean blue, and white. And this is the same colors but just more white. This is mixed alizarin crimson, cad red, cad yellow, Windsor lemon, and this is the same with more cad red, more cad yellow, and more white. So I'm going to start with this brilliant, vibrant color and paint in where I'm seeing it now. I really like the pattern I'm seeing on the tree right now. Trying a Da Vinci Maestro 2. It's an older brush I had, and I've been wanting something just a little stiffer for drawing than the Rosemary Evergreen, but with a little more control, a little tighter edge than a Utrecht bristle brush that I have. So this is a new brush for me. It's an old brush I had sitting around, but I haven't used it before. Now I dulled it down right there and I didn't want to, so I'm going to add some cad yellow to bring the brightness back up. A little bit of Windsor lemon as well. Yeah, that's better. I'll just go with big general shapes for now, and I can paint in some shadows and more detail later. I'm just going to suggest where I'm seeing the sun on the red first, while I have it. I can kind of follow the wash, but I can also deviate from it where I need to. And I'm not going to draw every single branch I see there. There's no way I'm going to capture the scene accurately in the time I have, so I'm just getting the suggestion from the form of the tree and trying to simplify it some, take out some of the branches that I don't need. This is a brilliant glowing branch up here. Not bright enough, so I'm going to add some of this Gambling Radiant Lemon. Now, just to compare, just out of curiosity, I'm going to take evergreen, small, long, flat, and just see how it compares at applying the paint. See which one draws easier. The red on the branches over here is just a little duller, so I'll dull it down. Well, the evergreen long flat is nicer. The color comes off the brush faster and easier. It's so hard not to try to chase every single branch. Forcing myself not to try to add all the branches I'm seeing. Trying to stay with what I picked out in the initial wash. I just want to get the big structure in for now. I can come back in and add some finer lines, some grace notes. There's a beautiful branch, a beautiful gray branch that comes out right here. I can come back in later once this paint is a little more dry. Maybe today, maybe after it's a little drier in the studio, and add it. If I try to add that gray now, it's just gonna turn into mud. Some beautiful transition to the gray here. More vibrant blue. Add a little bit of ultramarine blue here. Alright, now I'm going to put this brush down and get another small evergreen and do the grays. I'll start with the lightest lights, which I'm just going to grab this sky color, the cloud color. Which is just titanium white and a little bit of cerulean blue and a little bit of alizarin crimson. I'm going to add just a little bit of yellow ochre here. Got just a hint of yellow to it, not quite dark enough. A little alizarin as well. I feel like I'm missing a couple mixes, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to challenge myself to not do all the mixing up front. I wanted to mix more on the fly, so I seem to be missing a gray for the trunk that's lighter, one step lighter than this, so I'm just kind of mixing it on the fly by adding white. And I kind of like how when it blends into some of the orange from the orange wood, it has kind of a nice effect. Warms up this cool mixture. I actually have a beat up old rosemary ivory here. Let me try it for some of these finer lines. See if I can get a little finer line with it. Yeah, that works. So the ivory is just a little stiffer than the evergreen. And because it's so beat up, it's really just a few strands left. This was a mistake here. I didn't mean to cover that up. Add just a little bit of Gamsol. Add just a little bit of Gamsol and get a nice. I want to get this branch in one motion, nice sweeping want it to be a little warmer. Got a little bit of burnt umber. And I want to get this not flowing well enough. Add a little more Gamsol. Sienna where it turns here. I got too thick. That's okay. I can clean it up later. I feel like I have so much to learn about brush handling, especially on a complicated subject like this. Now see, that's too thick. I don't know if I have too much paint on my brush or what, but it's just not doing what I want it to do. I'm gonna try this ivory. Add a little Gamsol. Yeah, that's better. I guess the brush is just too thick for the job. Okay, that's enough for the fine branches for now. Now I'll go back with a little bigger evergreen and try to carefully paint in the background around the tree. I'm going to try to keep it really simple, really simplify things. It's difficult to paint around wet paint. I'm just wiping my brush off, occasionally trying to clean out any of the paint I put down already, so it doesn't contaminate the sky. There's no room up here really to establish a real shadow pattern, so I'm just kind of blotching it in a random way around the paint and around the initial wash, leaving some of the wash showing. Add just a touch of clean ultramarine blue toward top here. Now I'll leave this and add some of that foliage in up there. This kind of a canopy that's going off the panel. Now I can also darken this just a little with some ultramarine and paint the reflected sky in the water. At least start it. Go into the background trees. There's some sun hitting a rock back there that has just a little bit of warmth, so I'm going to mix some white and some yellow ochre into this gray. And do the rock along the beach. Rock and the sand along the beach. Just gonna leave some of the color from the initial wash there, not try to cover everything. And paint really thin. Some of these shadows. Light's changing, they're picking up a more violet color now, but I kind of want to stay with the colors I mixed earlier to save time and to stay consistent with what I saw earlier. Painting over some of these branches accidentally, it's hard not to. Try to connect these shadows up a little bit. Okay, now I'll go with a light in the background. Doesn't seem quite light enough, so I'm going to add a little bit of white. And a little bit of sky blue. Now I mixed up a darker green for the reflected water. Add a little orange to that, just to suggest some of the reflected trees. And as it gets closer to the bank, it gets a little warmer, so I'm going to add in some of this tree color I mixed. I'm not sure it's going to work. It's too dark. Can't tell you how many times I've wanted to stop because it's so difficult. This is so different for me and it's proving to be painful. But I'm gonna muscle through and finish it. I don't know if I'll like it or if I'll do anything with it, but just gonna get through this experiment. So now I will dab in some of these foreground leaves on the center of interest tree. Do the shadow first. Good, it's light, it's darker value than the background, which will help it. Now when it picks up some of the background color, it lightens it so I can either go with it and let it just kind of blend in, or I can wipe it off on a paper towel and get new paint. Just kind of following the pattern I established earlier. This is why I like to mix up more paint than I think I'll need, so I can be generous with it when I need to. I don't have to stop and try to mix and match more paint. I'm not trying to fully cover the empty spots I left for the foliage. I want to leave space for the underpainting to show through, and I want to leave space to paint on the high value, the sunlit portion of the leaves of the foliage. I'm just trying to, the sun's coming from this direction, so I'm trying to suggest that with the shadow pattern here based on what I'm seeing. Now, some of the leaves down in the body of the tree, some of these leaves are darker than the background, but they're a little cooler, so I'm dipping into some of this. I think that might be too high a value though, so I'm going to add a little bit of black. I can kind of compare values as I'm mixing here. I want it to be cooler, so I'm going to add a little bit of cerulean blue too. Yeah. Now I'll clean out my brush and go into this higher value. See if it reads. So it seems a little dark. I'm going to add a little bit of Windsor linen. Yeah, that stands out. Don't need to go too heavy here. I don't need to cover everything up. I can leave lots of spaces. Add some sharp ones here. Don't want to add sharp ones everywhere. And go even a little lighter with Gamblin' Radiant Lemon, which will also, because it has more white, it'll also cool it just a little bit. Blend it into the sky a little bit. I don't want any sharp edges up here so close to the edge of the panel. I completely covered up that beautiful branch here. That's okay. It happens. Reinforce some of these darks. Now let me just add a little bit of grass at the bottom. It's almost all in shadow now. I'm just gonna go based on my memory, which was, it was a very ochre, high value. Too much Gamsol, but that's okay. Add a little bit of burnt umber for some blades in the shadow. A little of this, let's see, a little of this green to the mix. There's some shrubby growth down here. Take this large brush I started the Gamsol wash with and just blend this foliage a little bit in some places. Need to add a little bit of high value foliage there. Well, here's where it ended up. Beautiful old tree. Boy, that was difficult. Can't tell you how many times I wanted to chuck it. How many times I wanted to stop and give up. But I pushed through. Glad I did. Learned some lessons. One thing is, you don't have to dilute the paint with Gamsol at the end to get it to go down. You can just get it real thick on your brush and lay it down softly. I also learned that I don't really care for the bristle brush that I was trying. I preferred the evergreen, which, not surprising. I like those evergreens. They're a great brush. I am curious about bristle brushes. I think Rosemary is coming out with a new higher level Rosemary sometime soon, and I'll be interested in trying that. Sure, I'll do any more on it in the studio. I'll take a look at it again under some better light, take a look at the reference photos, and decide if I want to try to finish it in the studio. As always, thanks so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. If you like these videos, please like and subscribe. Leave a comment below, let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next one. If you'd like to support the channel, please visit my website. I sell these little plein air pieces at a reasonable price because I consider them practice. It really makes me happy when someone likes my art enough that they want to hang it in their home. You can also sign up for my newsletter and stay up to date on my new work and shows and get a discount on original art and prints.